Hello and welcome to the Cooks Pantry, guys. As the clock strikes 4, you're all about to have that famous conversation, and I know you get sick of hearing that question, what do you want to have for dinner? Now this is an absolute go-to in my household. I think my wife regrets the day she ever cooked it for me, because when we have that conversation, a lot of the time I reply with, how about that pumpkin cannelloni? Now we could kick this off by roasting the pumpkin in the oven, but I wanted to show you guys a different way of doing it and to explain my method why. So we've got a butternut pumpkin here. I'm just gonna cut this off and give myself a nice big disc and get a nice fine dice happening, cook it in the pan, and by the time that's cooked in the pan, we'll have the other ingredients in the bowl, and it's just about streamlining those things and getting you guys to understand and to think about it before you start cutting things and cooking things. That's the basic principle, and that's why I just wanted to change it up a little bit and do it in a pan instead of resorting to the roast. So I'm just gonna trim this up around the edges, gently with a nice sharp knife, take off the outside, and then use a flat surface. Always a flat surface, so straight down the middle, and then onto another flat surface, and then we'll just cut like semicircles, all right? And just stack them 2 up. And this is where we'll cut it to the size that we're after to make sure that it fits inside your cannelloni tube. So we've just got a nice fine dice happening here. So that will cook really quickly in the pan. In with the pumpkin. So you want some nice heat in there. You want to get a nice little bit of colour, just like you would if you were roasting it in the oven. So we've got about 3 cups of the butternut pumpkin in there, some salt, and a little bit of pepper. All right, so just keep an eye on that. Give it a little flick every now and then, just to make sure that we've got some nice even colour happening. While that's going on, we're gonna kick off the sauce. This is, it's borderline shameful how simple this sauce is, but how tasty it is. And I'll never forget the first time I tasted it. I was doing the classic walk past the kitchen, see where Jess was at, how she was traveling, and I tasted this sauce and I said, what is in that? It was just so simple, so subtle, so beautiful. And I thought, you know, it's gonna have some, maybe like a traditional Croatian name to it, because I know that's where a lot of her cooking style comes from. And she said, oh yeah, this is one that the Babcia makes. They're, you know, really simple. I said, well, what do they call it? She said, tomato butter sauce. I'm like, yeah, right, okay. Must have stayed up all night trying to think of a name for this sauce. All you gotta do, a couple of tins of your tomatoes, 100 grams of butter, and really strangely, 2 onions, and we're just gonna quarter them, right? Bear with me. And they just sit in here for about half an hour. I'm gonna be honest, if I was sitting at home right now watching a guy do this, I'd be thinking, you're a goose. This guy's got no idea what he's doing, but I'm being dead serious. Bear with me. Let this come up to the heat. Those onions will start to soften, so we're basically poaching them in the tomato and the butter. Little pinch of salt, and then really it's one of those sauces where the longer you can leave it, the better it's gonna be. So finish putting together all the cannelloni, we've baked it in the oven. That will have sat for maybe close to an hour, and it will be lush. I promise you, just whatever you do, don't turn off the telly. You need to get this recipe and give it a shot, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, so let that sauce just tick away. Silverbeet. And this is another way that we're looking to, I guess, streamline this recipe, take out processes, save you washing up to get the same results. So, hey, and make me point my knife at you. All right, so very simply, just take the midsection out. And I think I've said this before, keep that and put it in a stew, in a pearl barley dish, anything like that. It actually adds a really beautiful texture. And all we're gonna do, slice that up really fine. I'll get that into this bowl, and a little bit of salt, start to work it through, break it down. The residual heat out of that pumpkin over the top will really sort of wilt that and almost steam it, okay? That's using your noodle. The pumpkin has been sitting on top of the silverbeet now for a minute or so, and it's just started to really soften it right up, which is good. So just mix that through, and then we'll go in with the rest of the ingredients in this filling. We've got some beautiful soft ricotta, some feta, just some Greek feta. So we want it nice and firm, nice and crumbly, because you do want it to hold its form in this mixture. Again, we just want to make sure we're breaking things down into the size, so we're not going to stumble across a nightmare when we try to put it into the cannelloni. Parmesan, so I'm going to put some of the parmesan in here, and then I'll keep a little bit of it in there. Nutmeg, everyone knows pumpkin, nutmeg, ricotta, silver beet. If you didn't know, now you do. Awesome combination. So a good teaspoon of that in there, and 1/3 of a cup of pine nuts. All right, now in with your hands and just mix it all through until you get that nice consistency in the bowl. You will know when it's ready to start filling the cannelloni. For anyone that's ever watched a cooking show before, this will be the part where you'll see this incredible long-winded montage of me filling all of these little guys. All right, so just a heads up, but I'll give you the run through. A long teaspoon, if you've got one, is gonna be your best mate. So you start at the top, round it off, push it in, and every now and then if you need to, just flip it and use the other end, all right? You guys get comfortable, sit back, relax, and watch me do all the work. Right, stop the music. I have an omission. I've found a faster way. Instead of using the spoon, I've resorted to the kitchen tools we were born with, your hands. Start the music. All right, just taste this one. That is lush. The final ingredient, just a little bit of brown sugar. So just to round off that beautiful acidity in the tomatoes. So I'll mix that through. And then we go with a nice layer of the sauce on the base, some of the cannelloni on top, and then repeat. So just push a bit of that in there. I leave the onions in. My wife keeps them whole and takes them out, but I'm cooking right now, so I'm gonna leave them in. All right, so I'm just gonna layer these, just one nice single layer, keep them nice and snug, nice and tight. And then all we've got to do, more sauce over the top, a little bit more Parmesan cheese, and then we'll bang them in the oven for about half an hour. More sauce over the top, use the whole lot. Look at those onions. It's like my favorite part about this sauce. Give that a shake, and just spread the Parmesan cheese over the top. All the hard work is done. We can now bang these in the oven at 190 for about half an hour. And now the next time your partner asks you that famous question, what are we having for dinner? You know what to say.